This is For the Creators.
Yeah, so what a guana gins.
We're back. Creativity X Culture. Another new episode for you guys. A little time for us to jump into some creative topics. But first, what we're going to do is talk about our main takeaways from last week's episode, which was with Naroop.
Yeah, that episode was so powerful for me. Obviously, you were the one who conducted the interview, and I actually like to listen to interviews as well in real time, without having to. Well, happily, I didn't have to do the editing.
No, I know what you mean, though. Yeah,
but it really helps when you're hearing it for the first time as a listener.
Yes,
because you genuinely pay attention. Whereas sometimes when you go through and edit it, you've heard it so many times, it kind of takes away from it. So, I'm not saying that's what we do. The third co-host just chimed in.
So the third co-host, FTC fans, For the Creators fans will know that Veneer's watch goes off on the hour. And
I don't know how to take it off. In fact, I just about know how to set time on this watch, so forgive me, guys. But yeah, like my main takeaway from the conversation with Naroop, if you haven't checked out the episode, please do. So Naroop is one half of the creative duo Amit and Naroop. So they're celebrity photographers, videographers, filmmakers, and now they're authors of the new book called Turbans and Tales. Yep. So Naroop sat down with Ryan and they had probably one of the most motivating, inspirational conversations that I've heard in a while. One of my main takeaways from it, just because it reflects the relationship that I have with Ryan, was how to work as a team and how to work in partnership. And I think I can't say it verbatim, but he basically said that when you're working in partnership with someone, you have to take your ego out of it because you both win, kind of thing. I can't remember the words that you...
I can't remember the exact words, but it was exactly
so
that.
Essentially, like, take your ego out because irrespective of who gets... It doesn't matter who gets credit for the work because you both win in the end anyway. Yeah. So that one really stood out for me.
And the quote was something like, it's amazing what can happen when you don't care who gets the credit.
Yeah, I think it was...
And that's obviously working within a team. And it's... When you think about it, it's like, wow, you're both fighting for the bigger picture here. Yeah. It's not about I did this part, I did that part.
It's the common goal.
Common goal, exactly.
Yeah, so that really stood out for me, and it was one of the questions that I was looking forward to them answering. Because again, it's how Ryan and I work as a team. I prepared the questions for that interview, and Ryan conducted the interview. It didn't matter who got to sit down with Naroop. Yeah. The fact is, we both contributed to the conversation.
Absolutely.
So that was really powerful for me. I think the other one that really jumped out to me was his story about his dad.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
Not to take away from everything that Ryan wants to say, but he spoke about the fact that his dad went from being a millionaire one day to being a cab driver the next. Yeah. To go from having his bags being carried by people and his employees to then carrying the bags for his clients. Yeah. And that was really powerful for me. But the good thing that I've realized, and I've realized this about a lot of millionaires, is that it's almost like once you've done it once, you can do it again. So within a not short space of time, the dad was able to get back things around and become a millionaire again. Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is just off the back of that, the main things I got from it was about being humble and being humble and working hard. So off of that whole situation that they had, you know, his mum said, look, we've got to sell everything.
We have to sell this shit.
You don't need to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning so we can go to the market. So it's like, wow, you know, they came from a place of privilege to a place of graft, and they just had to graft and make it work. And I think that really instilled that sense of humility and hard work into him. And that's what I really, really got from the interview with him. It was really, really cool.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's the main thing that's sticking out for me.
3 Gates.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, that one. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, man, that part really, really stood out for me because it's about being kind, and it goes back to being humble as well. And Naroop said that he read something that was really powerful for him, and that's whenever you're thinking of saying something, make sure it goes through 3 gates, and that's, is it true, is it kind,
is it necessary,
and is it necessary? And it's like, wow, because when you're a creative, it's so easy, because being creative is being emotional. And it's so easy to be wrapped up in your emotions and like take things personally and things like that, especially when you're communicating with non-creators that help creative works get out into the world. So yeah, you've really got to let your words pass through those gates.
And I think that's one of the points that he touched on as well that really stood out for me, is being able to take criticism about your work, especially from clients who you may deem as, well, you don't know what you're talking about, like,
that's why you hired me.
You know what I mean? But everyone has their vision about how the product should look, about, you know, the service that they want you to provide for them. So you have to be really careful, you know, and don't let your ego come into things, and also think about not just the short-term project that you're working on, but long-term, because you know, this person may hire you for another job, but if you go back to them and you're just you know, being mean and horrible. And that's another thing that jumped out in the conversation as well, about nurturing relationships.
Absolutely.
That was actually my main takeaway.
That is your main takeaway, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I was basically saying to Ryan that was my main takeaway, and it's something that we've learned that we need to do more as well, even just for the podcast, because we've been exposed to so many amazing people, and I just don't know if we've done enough to nurture those relationships. Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, it has been a short time that we've met all those people, but the point still stands that you need to nurture relationships. That's your capital in the creative world.
And ironically, through hearing listening to that episode with Naroop, and taking away the fact that I need to nurture relationships, I put that in action immediately. And now it's presented an opportunity for us that we never had before this week. So, you know,
thanks, Naroop.
Thanks to FTC podcast.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my main takeaway.
Absolutely. Yeah. Such a great episode. Make sure you go back and listen to that. 99.9% sure you're going to get something from that episode.
Definitely. Which brings us nicely onto our next topic.
Yeah.
Which is so inspirational.
Very inspirational.
Close to our hearts, because it's something that, you know, played a very pivotal role in us developing this podcast. And I was introduced to it by Ryan, so I can tell you about it.
Yeah, for real. So I'm a massive, massive fan of Gimlet Media. They're a podcast company from New York that started around, let's say, 2014, so about 5 years ago. And they came onto the market with a podcast called Startup, which was telling the story about them making this podcast company. So you literally got to hear how this company got started from the start in pretty much real time. And all the things you go through when you're starting a company, a project, whatever, all the ups and downs, all the brainstorming, everything is crazy. Like, you got to hear that.
Alex Bloomberg.
Yes, Alex Bloomberg, masterful storyteller, one of the best in the world. He and his business partner started this company, and 5 years later, with loads of different shows that they've done, they've got tons of shows, which we can put in the links. But
literally the benchmark, like if you're a podcaster and you want to make an amazing show, one of their shows actually been turned into a film. Yeah,
so they did various like fiction storytelling podcasts, and one was called Homecoming, and that was then optioned to become a TV show on Amazon Prime, and it stars Julia Roberts now. So from a podcast has become a show, and even Startup itself became a TV show called Alex Inc.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So then there's going to be movies, and it's nuts, the impact that they've had over 5 years. And a certain Spotify noticed. And Spotify have made more moves into becoming an audio first platform, not just music, and I think everyone would have noticed that they've been pushing podcasts a lot more in the last 6 months or so.
We're on Spotify, by the way. Tune
in on Spotify. But this week they made the biggest move yet into that into this space, and they purchased Gimlet Media for $230 million.
Yeah, somewhere
reportedly.
in that range, between 200 and 230 mil. But I think what really excites me about that story is literally, if you listen to Startup, you feel like you've been on this journey with Alex Bloomberg. And it's so dope to me because Ryan and I more or less started off in the same way with
there's so
FTC,
many parallels.
and there's so many parallels because literally I was listening to Startup when we were starting up FTC.
Yeah, that's right.
And that gave me so much like courage and things like that with regards to even doing it in the first place, because to know the level that they've gotten to in a short space of time, and then to understand like you have to start somewhere. And that's why I feel so happy, you know, that to see where he's come from. Like literally, if you listen to Startup, it's so authentic.
Yeah.
Like you literally feel like you're on a journey with him from when he was going out and speaking to investors and he didn't have a clue, and like for him to be where he is now, it's absolutely amazing. But it's given us fire in our belly, and also encouraged us to continue pursuing FTC, because audio is becoming so important now, and Spotify is touting itself as an audio first company, which is the same language that we use to describe
our company,
what we do and the company that we want to create as well. So
audio first.
Audio
Absolutely.
first, man.
The other purchase that Spotify made this week was Anchor, who basically help people make podcasts. So they've got various tools to help you record and distribute your podcasts everywhere. So Spotify are taking a real big step in becoming one of the leaders, or the leader in this podcast space.
Do you remember when we went to Spotify? It's so funny because there's so many parallels, because we went to if you've been listening to a podcast, you know that Ryan and I have only known each other for a year. One of the first events that we went to was Spotify Genius event.
You know, that was this time last year.
Yeah,
literally.
It's probably like this week last year. And one of the things that they were talking about there was podcasting. And I remember even approaching one of the ladies there to push our idea. And at the time, FTC was just an idea.
Yeah, we had no.
We hadn't even, like, Ryan had recorded a few episodes, but we hadn't released anything yet. So to see how much can happen, or in the space of a year, is actually exciting. So
it is, and the space is just, man, it's really exciting. I'm really excited.
Yeah, one day we gonna be paid.
That's it, man. That's it.
Which is nice. So on the topic of audio, we might as well talk about the Grammys.
The Grammys, yeah. So the Grammys is it would have been yesterday. But you got some of the nominations there, right?
Yeah, so I've got some of the nominations. I've kind of just kept it focused to the UK because we're in the UK. So I'm extremely proud of LMA.
Yes.
Who's been nominated for Song of the Year with Booed Up.
Sick.
And also
that's crazy in itself.
Yeah.
That is crazy. One, an R&B song being nominated for Song of the Year. Not R&B Song of the Year. Is it Song of the Year, period?
Of the Year, yeah.
Okay, so it's not even R&B Song of the Year. So Song of the Year, an R&B song. And she's from here.
And also how she was found. So she was found on Instagram. Literally just doing Chris Brown covers.
There you go.
And I can't remember the name of her producer.
DJ Mustard.
DJ Mustard's wife spotted LMA.
Shut up.
On Instagram.
See, and that's the importance of putting this stuff out.
Yeah, and literally said to
you
him,
never know who's
you need
watching.
to check this girl out. And apparently the wife kept saying it to him, and he kept saying, yeah, cool. Yeah, like, I'll check her out. And then when he did.
It's so funny, but wives know best.
Speaking from
coming
from a married man.
Well, it's funny. It even links back to the Gimlet story. Like,
that's true.
Alex's wife helped make some really key decisions.
Key decisions, definitely. But even the dynamic between them on Startup was
for
so
sure,
funny.
For sure.
Like,
and I'm sure it's the other way around. But obviously, in these examples, it was the wife that said, "No, listen, you need to listen up."
Literally, and that's what happened with LMA. So
that's crazy.
If you're a young creative and you're trying to come up in the game, like, you don't underestimate how key social media is, and just having an online presence. The fact is, if no one knows that you exist, how are they going to sign you?
Yeah.
You know, so that was really inspirational. Georgia Smith is nominated for Best New Artist as well. That's amazing.
That is
One of
amazing.
our future podcast guests.
Yes. So Engineers, Prash Mystery. He's Georgia Smith's in-house engineer. He's also a producer, and he's also nominated for a Grammy for his album Symbol, which is nominated for Best Sound Design, I believe, or Best Mixing, because Prash goes in like next level. Like this album was done in 9.1 surround sound.
English, please.
So, you know, when you go cinema,
yeah,
and there's speakers around everywhere, the sound needs to be mixed in order for you to hear it in these 9 different speakers. And you know, it can like travel from left to right and behind you and in front of you and stuff. That's what he's done for his album, and that's what he's nominated for a Grammy for. He's next.
Sounds incredible. I still don't know what any of that actually means. Does it mean that it comes out of a speaker? Yes, but it sounds amazing. So congratulations to Prash. So definitely look out for that interview. It's coming up in season 2. We're just finalizing the date at the moment, but it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah. So,
but also just going back to Georgia Smith. So she's been nominated for Best New Artist, and what's funny about that is that I became aware of Georgia Smith maybe 3 years ago. Like, and that's when she's a new artist. But to the world,
exactly,
this is what would be. You know what I mean? So for any artist coming up, just, you know, be patient, because even with Georgia Smith's like first album and stuff like that, that came out last year. You know, now she's nominated for Best New Artist.
And that's not like, come on, it's the Grammys, man. Like, people get this later on in their career. And to be, you know, your first album. And to also be from the UK. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think Beyonce has ever won, like, Album of the Year or anything like that. There's always been controversy. I remember when Adele won, and Adele gave, like, a whole big speech because Beyonce's never had Album of the Year.
Yeah.
Even when she's done things like Single Ladies and things like that. So... to be recognised, and the good thing about the Grammys is you're recognised by your peers, right?
Kind of, yeah. But are they your peers?
Yeah, exactly. Which kind
but it's funny. It kind of like this whole topic of how pop music is changing is what we're going to talk about next. So, you know, Grammys and Oscars, they had kind of like an uppity view on music. Sorry, on music and movies. So anything that was kind of deemed to be, you know, a bit urban, or in the movie industry, like action movies, or like just something like a bit pop. Do you know what I mean? Like something that's popular wasn't deemed to be credible in that sense. And Beyonce, for example, made pop music. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't looked at through that lens of, oh, this isn't as well structured as Adele's album. Like, it hasn't got the same songwriting talent. But, you know, they're both equally as big, but they're serving different audiences. Like, you can't play Adele in the club. It's not going to get people, it's not going to get like people dancing to Single
Ladies. And the
Ladies.
irony of that is one of Adele's biggest influences is Beyonce.
Yeah, exactly. And vice versa.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So, but what I think's happened now through the popularity of hip hop and pop is that that's actually changed things. So now the nominations are reflecting that because it's by far the majority of music, period.
And relatively unknown, well, so-called unknown artists as well. So artists that they wouldn't normally feature in the past. One of the other things as well, so Drake's been nominated 7 Grammys. I think Cardi B's nominated for 5. Kendrick Lamar for 8, Childish Gambino for 5. The thing about that is that Kendrick Lamar, Childish, and Drake have all turned down the opportunity to perform.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they were basically saying that...
Ariana Grande as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the reason why most of these hip-hop artists tend to turn down the opportunity to perform is like... in the past, on the night, you get nominated. Whether you win is a whole nother conversation. And whether you win the actual awards that you think you deserve to win as well. Well,
yeah, like with Drake, he, what was it, Hotline Bling was nominated for Best pop song or something like that, pop record. But he's a rapper. There was something weird, like he wasn't nominated. I can't remember exactly what it was. Category. Yeah, because they don't know where to place it.
But this is the thing, though, which brings us nicely onto the other topic, which is how pop music is changing.
Yes.
And how it's been changed because of globalization and the internet. Because in the past, Drake, or like, I guess the reason why it was an issue before is that Drake wouldn't want to be placed in the category as pop. But pop really stands for popular music, right? But now it's not such a thing because hip hop is the most popular music genre in the world. So it's the definition of pop has completely changed. So before, when you thought of pop, you think of Britney Spears, Katy Perry, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
But those people are not dominating the charts anymore.
No. And also the different, like, music from different countries as well. So we're talking about globalization now, and it's so wicked, like hearing music that you've never heard before, like in languages you've never,
like Latin music's at the top of the charts, K-pop.
Exactly, K-pop, like it's crazy. Like now we can hear music how the rest of the world has heard music, because they sing along to the same songs we have in our language, but now we're singing along to their songs. I don't know what they're saying, but it sounds good.
Yeah, it's like that Drake, is it Drake and Bad Bunny?
Yeah.
So I ain't got a clue what they're talking about, but I still sing Drake's bit.
Yeah.
Drake could literally be telling me, you're a bitch. And I'll be like, yes, Drake, yes.
Trust me.
You know, like literally, but it's so inspiring as well, because what it's done as well is it's also taken the whiteness out of pop. Because for so long, pop music has been dominated by white artists who had access to a particular budget, or the type of artists who will be signed by record labels. But now, because we've got so much autonomy, we don't need to be signed anymore, and you can release your own record if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, and that's funny as well, because now the labels are actually doing better than they ever were. Well, at least in the last 20 years. So there's been a balance. It's just been a massive shift into hip hop becoming pop, and, you know, artists that you wouldn't have thought would be the biggest stars in the world are.
But it's also the impact of streaming, because streaming almost gives you a level playing field. Because before, Billboard charts and everything was based on the number of album sales and things like that. Physical sales. So when you have artists like Cardi B, Invasion of Privacy was never on CD. It's all down to streams. So it means that if you're an up and coming artist, you can be on Spotify. You're in the same position that no one might know your name, but, you know, if you end up on a playlist or something, like you can literally have millions of streams in a short space of time, whereas before you had to have a massive budget behind you. And then now you have social media, so that's self promotion. Yeah,
and it really comes down to how you can build your audience. First it comes down to the music. How good is your music for your audience? And then it's how you get your music to that audience, and then how you grow that audience. And then that will reflect in the streams. Definitely. Because it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. Most people have access to streaming services. Lots of people, I think Spotify announced that they've got 96 million paying subscribers now.
Wow, paying subscribers as well.
Yeah, so that's
really cool.
96 million people paying $9.99 a month, which is insane, because I pay $9.99 a month. So that's £10 a month that I probably wouldn't have spent on an album every month. Do you know what I mean? That's but I'm true. Spending it because of everything I can
access.
Yeah, plus all the podcasts, etc. I'll do the same with Apple Music. I'm in music, so I feel it's my duty to spend on it anyway. But even the people that don't, you still got access to all this music, and that's just one service. Yeah,
and I think what's happened because of streaming and also social media and everything else, but also the way how artists, you know, have innovated how you can interact with them. So a lot of them are selling. So album sales are affected also by bundling. Yeah. So a lot of artists will bundle their tour with like the sale of, their new music and things like that.
There was controversy about that with Travis Scott
and like Nicki Minaj.
Yes, yeah, because he bundled merchandise or something like that.
Yeah, and basically said that Stormy's going to be attending the tour and then sold out the whole tour.
Isn't that just utilizing what you have within your remit?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you do if you're marketing a product. I'm going to use what I've got. Yeah. You can't be mad at that.
The whole point is to sell.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just, we're in an amazing time, and one of the most encouraging things as well is just the UK. The UK is doing really well. That film I sent you with, was it Bashi?
Yes, short film.
The short film. Yeah, so the short film with Bashi called Skin's been nominated for an Oscar as well. That's amazing. We've had people like The Real Rap Man being signed by people at Jay-Z.
The Real Rap Man.
Look, I use Instagram handles, right? Ryan's laughing at me. But literally, if I see him on road, it will be, yo, The Real Rap Man.
Oh, my days.
But it's just so inspiring to see that. I think before globalization, it was kind of the UK was them and then there's us. But I think now we're in a position where, like, even when I listen to like Capital Extra and things like that, which is like my favorite station, but you can literally listen to Capital Extra for like 2 hours and hear all UK music. Yeah,
I think they've done that on purpose because they're really, really flying the flag.
But there's music to listen to.
Yes,
that's quality.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 hours worth.
Exactly, and even down to like the video production and everything. I think everything now is so attainable that if you're not successful, it's kind of like it's down to you. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're saying, it's becoming a meritocracy in that everyone has the same tools. Some people have bigger marketing budgets than others, but everyone has the same chance to make music or product that's really going to connect with an audience. And it's about whether you can, 1, make that music, 2, connect with an audience, and then 3, grow that audience, because so many people have done that,
Yeah, and also thinking outside of the box, which takes us nicely onto the next topic about an audience and growing your audience.
Yeah, so Marshmello, who is an EDM DJ, you may have seen him. Well, no one's actually seen him himself, but he has a marshmallow for a head, and he's a DJ. He's a massive DJ, and he did a virtual concert on the game Fortnite. So this is a game that is multiplayer and it's online. Anyone can play it. It's a free game, by the way, and it's on most devices. So from iPhones to Nintendo Switch to PS4 to PC. I think
they have like 195 million users.
Yeah. So they teamed up with Marshmello and they created a Marshmello character in the game. And then this character held a live concert set. And what was epic about that is that it was obviously live to all of those users. And I think they got like 10 million people at the virtual concert, which then makes it, obviously it's virtual, but that would make it easily the biggest concert ever.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because what's a concert? 100,000 people?
Yeah.
Max?
I think like in my mind, I was still thinking about it like in stadium sense, but 10 million people is a lot of people. Shit, like it just really hit me.
Yeah, that's a lot
incredible.
Of people all raving in their rooms or whatever. And it's kids, essentially. That's the Fortnite demographic, but it's just crazy. And obviously what's exciting is that then becomes a seed that's planted in 10 million minds. So it's like, okay, when's the next one? This is what I want, Yeah. I can rave from my room. I don't have to go anywhere else.
But that just opens doors for artists now. That's another door that's been
another
open.
avenue.
Yeah, because if you create like your own online platform or whatever and you set it up really well, like you can stream your concert. So not only do you have the physical attendance of people physically attending, but you can pay. Hold on, is that a business idea? It's like, take that back.
No, I think there's
someone
services.
must be thinking about it. But
there's services.
It's like live stream that you just pay to attend the live stream.
Well, So there's an app called Tencent in there's a company called Tencent in China. They're the Spotify of China, basically, and they have music apps that do all of that. Like China is way ahead.
Can imagine.
It's crazy in terms of like music interaction and stuff. It's so dope. So they have like live concert streaming from your mobile. You can join in. You can do like karaoke. You can do loads, and they're actually one of the biggest shareholders in Spotify. Interestingly enough.
So you can just imagine what the future holds for Spotify.
Exactly.
When they're ready to release it to us.
Exactly.
Yeah, like at times I think in the past I was scared of technology, but like when you're in it and then you see how. After watching Black Mirror, I was scared of technology. But when you really think about like, it's amazing, you know, and globalization has had such a positive impact on us.
Absolutely.
You know, and it can only get better, and it's made the world a lot smaller, and it's given all of us opportunities. And, you know, even just to think that we're talking here on this podcast, but yet people from anywhere in the world can listen to Ryan and I. You know, and it's so nice when, you know, we get reviews and we hear people saying like their favorite podcast is for the creators. And again, it all started with an idea.
Exactly. It all started with a blank sheet of paper, as Disney says.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just quickly, what was your most creative things you've seen recently or this week?
I think one of the most creative things that I've seen this week is a guy that I posted on our Instagram, and his Instagram handle is @CraigAllenStudio. And if you go on our profile, you will see an image that looks like Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
But when you actually look closer, the image of Marilyn Monroe is made up of tiny images of people partaking in day-to-day activities. So it's really fascinating because what he does is he draws people that some people might be on their way home from work. There might be someone playing basketball. There might be someone playing tennis. There's just all these little really tiny characters that all make up the portrait. And those kind of things inspire me because I just think like, one, how did you even come up with that idea? And then two, the patience and time that you have to invest into creating something like that. Because to create an image that from a distance you look at it, you see Marilyn Monroe, but when you go up close, it tells another story. And one of the things that really jumped out to me in the video that I posted on our page was that he said that what he enjoys about his work is the fact that when you stepped away from it, you see Marilyn Monroe, but when you get close, you realize that we're all part of this one thing called life. And we all belong and we all have a part to play and we all have a role. That's why he's created his portraits in that way.
I love that.
So I feel like that was really powerful.
That is dope. Well, sticking on what we posted on Instagram theme, one of the most creative things I saw was Eminem describing how to rhyme orange.
Because I can think of a lot of things that rhyme with orange. What rhymes with orange? If you're taking the word at face value and you just say orange, nothing is going to rhyme with it exactly. If you enunciate it and you make it like more than one syllable, orange, you could say like, I put my orange 4-inch door hinge in storage and ate porridge with George. You just have to figure out the science to breaking down words and try to...
And do you think about this throughout the day? I mean, you're driving along, you think about rhyming words?
Yeah, all day. Yeah, I actually drive myself insane with it.
But it's...
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was powerful for me actually, because I was saying to Ryan earlier that literally now when I hear someone rapping, I'm like, wow, the words don't actually rhyme like in real life.
It's how you say it.
How they've said it.
Bending the rules, essentially. Because when you look at it on paper, a lot of people have said, I've seen articles about that. You can't rhyme certain words. But Eminem was like, watch.
Crazy.
You know? So yeah, that was really cool. So that's it for this week, peeps. We've got an exciting interview coming up next week for you guys, but make sure you check out last week's interview with Naroop. Trust me, you're going to get a lot from that. Make sure you, if you can, please subscribe,
review,
please.
Recommend,
share. And yeah, follow us on Instagram at For The Creators Podcast. We'll be doing more kind of reactions, I suppose, to our own Instagram posts. So definitely follow that so you know what we're talking of. And yeah, follow us on Twitter, get involved. That's at @4_the creators.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your ears once again, guys. And hear from us very soon. By the way, I hope you guys are enjoying these Creative X Culture.
Yeah. Let us know what you think.
Podcasts. Let us know what you think about these as well, because I've been enjoying it.
Cool.
Bye.
See ya.